hit this on. It's just going to be. I can't. What did I do for the other podcast? You're going to fucking put all this in now, aren't you?
Potentially.
You're going to leave all this in. Okay, guys, because I know Dean's going to fucking leave that in anyway. Welcome to this podcast. I believe it's going out on the YouTube channel. I clearly don't know myself. That's why I'm asking the question. So today I'm going to be having a chat with somebody who I've been working with for the last couple of years. Somebody that's made huge progress in their development and where they are. So I'm very, very pleased to say welcome, Paul Fenby.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about your journey, mate. What's in fact, tell you what I'm going to ask you first. So where was the first point that you came into my world and I came into yours? What was that? Where was that? How did that happen?
It was back end of 2017. I'd seen what you were doing with the property locally, and I wanted out the building game, and I thought I want a bit of that.
So what was it? You seen it on a Facebook ad or something like that, was it?
Yeah, Facebook, and obviously like the 300 vans you had flying around. Yeah. And I was like, what's going on here? So I thought, just dropped you a message and you chucked us in the group for them 24 hours.
Yeah. And then you did what? Did you do the old one day, or did you just come straight?
No, I done the 3
just
day
jump straight
in February 2018.
No, I remember that now. And then you went straight on to March from that. You went straight on to Elite from that in March, did you? What was that?
September, I done Elite. I was on holiday in the March. So yeah, the September, I done Elite.
Tell us about that. What was it like? What was the experience like?
It was amazing. It was good. I really enjoyed it, and at that point in my life, building up to that point, Elite was a pivotal point for me, which we'll probably talk about. But leading up to that kind of week away with people and what you were teaching was kind of like an opening of a door and just like set me off on a little journey. Yeah, a lot of people say that Elites, once you go to elite level, it's not training, it's more of an experience. Would you agree? Yeah, it sounds corny, but it was probably one of the best weeks I've had that.
What was the, we were discussing this the other day, funny enough, what was the latest night you did on your elite?
I think it was 2.
2 in the morning?
2, yeah.
I think that must be the record, like.
That was building the investor packs. I think it was probably the Wednesday or Thursday night. You left there about 11:30, I think.
Yeah, early night for me.
Yeah, we had troubles with the printer, didn't we?
Yeah, it's certainly something which challenges people in that way. So what I'd like to ask you first is, tell me about the mindset side. So you came into Elite, and I know at the time you were having some challenges yourself. What was talking to that a little bit?
So from the back end of 2016 up until September 2018, I basically created this fucking business that I hated, and I'd given it all my energy, and I had a nervous breakdown, and I turned into like an anxious, depressed wreck. And it was like an accumulation of things. Obviously, I didn't know what I know now. So on reflection, I can probably tell you what it was. But back then, I didn't want to be on the planet, to be honest with you.
And what was that? So your background, so you trained at what? You were a builder, apprentice or something like that?
Yeah, so I left school with a baby, so I had a son at 16, so I went straight into like a YTS scheme for kids with like no qualifications, and basically kids who hadn't done so well. And I spent like 6 months there and went to college and trained doing bricklaying. Left college and got a job labouring with a bricklayer, and then I got put on my own. So from like 2007 to 2014, I was working for a firm, just building like extensions, conservatories, orangeries, that type of stuff. And in 2014, got made redundant.
All right.
So it was like balls deep. So I just set up, and I bought a van and a bag of tools, was a
and
business.
Off you went.
yeah, pretty much. And to be fair, it went good. It went well. Like my salary, my money, like tripled. So I was chasing the money. Cause,
Yeah.
like, to be honest, like I couldn't spend it. Like I was on like 400 quid a week to like 1,200 quid a week, you know, and it was all good, but I kind of chased it a bit too much. And then obviously once you set up business, you've got that thing about saying no, because you don't know where the next job's coming from, and you don't want to not even go quote, even if you can't fit it in, because you're worried in case like that kind of gets spread about, that you know you're not reliable, even quoting, never mind doing the job. So I was basically a yes man.
Yeah.
I was doing as much as I can on site and like quoting, and it wasn't like little piddly jobs as well. It was like extensions, and the quotes were like, you know, 3-4 hours ago, never mind. Yeah, it looked like a lot of work, and obviously I kind of sorted that out with a little system, but you know, I just didn't know what I know now, so I basically done it the hard way. I got taught how to lay bricks.
Yeah.
I worked alongside good bricklayers, you know, and I thought that's all that was required. I didn't have a clue about marketing, I didn't have a clue about selling, I didn't have a clue about pricing, even managing lads. Like it would be my family or my mates who were working with me, and that's a struggle in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think this is the thing, isn't it? Is it I forget who says it now. I've gone and had a mind blank with the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. Who is it? Why have I had a head blank? People know who I'm talking about. But it is a very different role, and we do think, a lot of people think because they're a good technician that they'll be able to make success of a business, and it is very different. So what changed for you? So you've created, because you've done it yourself, and we know that you've created this pressure on yourself by the way you were running your life. What changed? How did you go from, because there'll be a lot of people listen to this who have got their own building companies, own plumbing companies. I actually spoke to a lad only last week who's got his own plumbing company, and he's stopped trading because of his own mental health. Yeah. So what have you done, because you've been able to go from there to where you are now in terms of dealing with things and having your business set up the way you want it? What's changed? What have you done?
So at the most basic level was just some simple systems on how to price, who to price for. So obviously I'm not quoting everyone now. I say no probably 90% of the time, which was like unheard of back in the day. I would literally give everyone my time.
So what would you do? So if I ring you up now and I go, right, Paul, I'm wanting an extension built and you're chocker, what's the reply?
So first off, I want to know where you are.
Yeah.
And then I want to know that you've got plans drawn up.
Yeah.
So like I'm qualifying you through
Good.
that.
Yeah.
And then even before I come out, I'll tell you my availability at that point there.
Yeah.
And so if the local where I want to work, if they've got plans drawn up, I know they're invested.
Yeah.
And then we'll go and see them if they're okay with our availability, and you know, 9 times out of 10 they're not, because we're that far ahead.
Yeah, and then what would you say to them at that point if you've got too much on? Would you recommend someone else, or
Yeah, so what I do is I'll refer people. So I'll recommend someone for a referral fee.
Yeah.
Which
someone you know you can rely on, who's a good builder. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
So like, and it's not, we call it a drink. Chuck a drink on that. Go see this job. Chuck a drink on that. Yeah. You know, which is kind of standard practice in the building trade. So
yeah.
But yeah, we definitely qualify them through now. And the most important thing for me was to choose what I do. So like now we only do extensions and garage conversions, and we'll do a little bit of like steel work if it's bulky enough, if there's money in it.
So did you do the classical, what I did? We started off in doing a bit of damp work, then we moved out doing a few other things, and then all of a sudden we were doing everything for everyone, and then we came back down back down to choosing a few things again.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of a balance between what I enjoy doing. Like an extension has all aspects of like building work in it, so it covers all bases. So you know, I get kind of, I enjoy the brickwork, I enjoy the joinery, I enjoy the roofing, because I'm not like at it every single day. You know what I mean? So even though extensions are broad, it's still like a niche. You know what I mean? To just, we want to be doing them or garage conversions, and like I say, they still work, because when back in the day, when I was literally doing everything from a bit of paving to garden walls to putting massive steels in, I had no control over my diary, because inevitably, no matter what anybody says, and you can put as many systems and processes in place as you want, something is very likely to not go to plan.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, the shit hits the fan almost every day in the building trade. There's something that doesn't go quite right.
Yeah.
You know, or somebody doesn't show up, or delivery's late. So you plan it out as much as you want. It doesn't go to plan. So, you know, it's kind of the what I have in place now isn't like firefighting. It's just like fucking acceptance of that is what the game is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So don't put too much pressure on to not be able to handle what could possibly go wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is what worked for me personally when we had the construction business, and like you said, we did expand it to a pretty big size where we had vans and that flying all over. But what we created was like a little booklet, and we would give that to the client prior to starting the job, and it would have things in there that sometimes the job can run over if this sort of happens. So they were already aware of them things if they already came up, rather than us going, oh, we said we'd be finished in 4 weeks, and as you say, there's so many moving parts in an extension for concrete to be laid or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's gone and knocked tradesmen back that were booked in, and you now can't get them back in again. And I understand that, mate, more than anybody, of them challenges that you're facing when you're doing that. So a question for you then is, what's been your change? You said you've put more systems in place. Would you say, because I guess I'm angling at, would you say you created that stress on yourself due to your own high standards of what you wanted? Would I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, so I'll openly admit I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So I like things to be done right, and I like things to be done by like competent people. So if I can't do it, then I'll get people in to do it. Do you know what I mean? But the pressure that I put on myself was fucking horrendous, like unbelievable, and it was more time than ability. So I've always been like horses for courses. So if I'm not capable, I'd get somebody else to do it rather than have a go. I'm not like a have a go hero, you know what I mean? But it was the time in my expectations of like every job being the same. So like, you know, one extension we can get the brickwork up in a week. And the next one, pretty much the same, it took 2 weeks, and like I couldn't get my head around this. Like you say, the variables, and I was like creating these schedules, and I was like, fuck, you know, what's wrong with me? Why can't I hit it? Why can't I, you know, come in on time and stuff? And by the end of the job, we gained it back, but that gain there was my stress, and it was unnecessary. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't give no flexibility. Back in the day when we were quoting, it was like, it was a fucking mega list of everything what's involved in an extension table, 3 or 4 hours to type up. Every job's different, you know what I mean? And it's like, so that used to fucking proper do my head in. And then I'd be like, shit, I forgot a box of like torque screws, and it's like 15 quid. Do you know what I mean? And all these little things add up, and I was like, do you know what? It's got to be a better way. And you know, obviously the process that I use is obviously I price on the square metre for both extensions and garage conversions, because there's that many variables. There's, you know, you go get gear from a merchant, check your invoices, and it's gone up like 10%, 15%. And like basically, if you ain't got enough fat in that job, you're gonna fucking go bust 100%. If you're pricing for everything like I used to. So that's sorry. So I've kind of gone off here, but that's what the stress was these variables in unexpected situations, in me counting like 11 days on here and 2 days here, I was nailed on them. So in the end, I was doing it for fuck all, or I was doing it not for nothing, but I was doing it with no fat, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what put a bit of pressure on me as well.
Yeah, well, I'm the same as you. I believe in square metre prices. I believe there's a time and a place for them both. So sometimes, if you're going into a house, for example, and you're quoting on a bathroom and different wallpaper and stuff, there's going to be a specification for that.
Yeah.
If you can compare apples to apples, i.e. you're going in and doing a 3-bedroom house, it's roughly 100 square metres, and you're doing a rewire, a boiler, bathroom, kitchen, it's all pretty much the same spec, then square metre works extremely well. It's very, very effective, it's quick.
It's worked for me. We've kind of had the same margin for the past 3 years since I started like implementing that. You know, and it's worked for me. It's just, to be fair, the only reason why I didn't do it in the beginning was out of fear of fucking it up, because I hadn't had the experience of the square metre rate, and that's kind of what I need to know, what I'm spending and what I'm getting and where this is going and where that's going, because I didn't have the experience. Obviously, I was just working for other people. You know, so I was either subbing or employed. So I remember the first time I'd done it, and you know, having that freedom, and it sounds stupid, but you know, having that freedom to be able to just order a little bit more, and you know you're not like screwed down to like this, like you know it's like pouring a foundation in your digger, you fucking big massive corner out, and you need another metre. Do you know what I mean? If you price 3 metres, who are you going back to the customer for 4? Do you know what I mean? And like, to me, that's kind of bad crack, you know. Yeah,
because I get it, because you're then putting that unnecessary pressure on yourself, and then, like you say, you either taking the hit on that or you're putting it elsewhere. And I totally agree with that, because if you look at Rick's, which probably the most credible people in the country in terms of what they do, they use square meterage as well. They've got a full book on square metre, so I get that. Tell me what else have you done in your workplace to streamline things up? So are you more hands off now, or are you still on the tools?
To be honest, I'm still on the tools,
and like, you enjoy that, do you?
Yeah, I love it, and I'm comfortable at that. So what my aim was, like, you don't know if you remember, but on a light, you kind of said something to me. You said, do the right thing, not the easy thing.
Yeah.
And like, the easy thing for me was to hide at home and just flood the lads, job with lads.
Yeah.
And maybe like fucking curled up in a ball on the sofa, just making a few quid and happy, but not happy, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, right, I need my big boy pants on. So I went back, like after September, I went back straight out, and like, obviously I've done a lot with my mindset, but then it was like balls deep, and like, sounds ridiculous, but me getting in a van and driving to the job, like, mate, I was having fucking panic attacks left, right and centre. I'm not joking. Like, it was brutal. Plantation Road in Redcar, I swear down, right, every time I went down there, and I laugh now, every time I went down that road, because you can't pull over if you start going a bit dizzy or your heart fucking pounding and that. So every time I went down that road, I'd go into a fucking nervous breakdown, mate. I'd get over that roundabout towards the Mickledales. We were doing a job on the Mickledales at the time. And mate, honestly, like, I'd have to pull over in the Ings, have that, you know, fucking baked, proper bad. And I don't even know where I've gone off on this here, but basically, what was the question?
we were talking about, I don't know, I can't even remember myself. It's good, let's just fucking roll with it.
Yeah, so
September, it was when you're on the tools, that was it.
So now I'm kind of back on the tools after realising going fucking that way, flooding the jobs with lads, going that way, taking on like a bit more than I should, didn't kind of work for me personally. Yeah. Like, I wanted to kind of go that way, and that's like getting better at what I do, processing systems and just managing stuff and giving people like a little bit of responsibility instead of me flapping about like a big girl, fucking, I'll do this. No one can do anything as good as me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's kind of, every tradesman's the same. and you've got to push that responsibility out and kind of duck and dive a little bit and accept that it might not be perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, good is good enough.
Yeah,
is the,
yeah, that's something you said to me as well. Now, fucking good is good enough. I didn't quite get it then, but I do now, and like that's my approach. Like we still do a really good job, but the pressure isn't there.
Yeah.
It isn't in my mind. I don't hate what I do because I had all this unrealistic expectations. Like it's mad because like I can't believe I'm saying it, but I fucking really enjoy what I do. And I think on a light I stood up and I said, I'm here because, you know, I want to work with my mindset and I want to get the fuck away from my construction business type of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now like I'm back in it, balls deep, loving it. And like, obviously with the COVID and stuff, like honestly, like challenge after challenge after challenge. And it's not a struggle, it's just a challenge. Do you know what I mean? It's like fucking, to nick your term, it's like bulletproof. Like the bullets just ricochet. It's like fucking give me what you got, because at the end of the day it's getting done and it's not going in there, it's just bouncing off me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am on the tools. I love being on the tools, and I probably would come off the tools once I've mastered going that way, we'll go that way. But,
yeah,
you know,
when the time's right, and I get that, and it's I give him a bit of a shout out here to Rich Versey. He Rich has done a lot of work for me, and he's an absolute perfectionist in what he does. He's got the mega high standards, and that's the reason he's never wanted to expand. The amount of work he turns down because he knows the lads aren't going to do the work as good as him, and I get that challenge because I've had that in positions where you look and you think, yeah, I do that and I do it well, and it can be difficult to let go of that, can't it?
Yeah, it's probably one of the, that is still my biggest challenge, even though I'm not as bad as I used to be. It's kind of like, you know, I still want a really, really high-end like finish. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you've got room to maneuver, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're striving for perfection all day, every day, you know, if your foundations can't be out 30 mil, or you know, if you like get all wound up because there's like fucking what, you know, you've got a 12 mil tolerance in per meter, you know what I mean? And like, I couldn't have 12 mil over 5 meters. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
stuff that people wouldn't even see with their eye.
Yeah. It's like, what is acceptable wasn't acceptable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was all like pressure that I'd created myself, and I suppose in a way it's good to do things like really well, but you've got to, you know, be willing to kind of just give yourself a fucking break, man. Do you know what I mean? Come on. You know, not everyone's perfect, and that's kind of that was my journey, which was like perfection over 3 years, the inability to say no, and it just kind of had this fucking massive impact on me, and I ended up like a bit down and out.
Hi guys, hope you're enjoying this video. Make sure that you like, share and subscribe to the channel. In the description below you can book a strategy call with one of my coaches. You can download the book, enjoy the rest of the video. But it's good, I think, that you found that, the fact that you found out now that you're enjoying being on the tools, because there is no right and wrong, and what, in terms of scaling, yes, you've got to let go, you've got to employ people to grow your business, but that's not the answer for everyone. And talking about Rich, is he's somebody who doesn't want to scale, so he's happy, he enjoys going to work, doing his own thing, making the money that he makes, and accepts that I don't want to scale because I enjoy doing the work myself, and takes pride in what he does. I've got a few mates like that they're booked out for 6 months plus. They could more than take on a second, a third, a fourth team, but they enjoy actually doing the work themselves and actually. I
think obviously, like, there's a consensus, isn't there, that if a tradesman's decent, he'd be self-employed doing his own stuff. So you kind of, if you're employing lads, they're either brand new or they're not great, let's say. So like, I think that's a battling in your mind about going that way and getting loads of lads on. But for what done it for me, right? And people say, and you've probably said this, or you'll have heard it. You can't work in your business and work on your business.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's just a little bit different for the building trade, because you can work on your business and in it, because I do it. It's just when you're in it, you need to be fucking good at what you do, get it boxed off, and then kind of give yourself that time to do your pricing and your marketing and stuff. And it's all down to systems, isn't it? Like once you know,
Yeah.
and it's just easy work.
So what is the vision? What's the where do you want to work? Where are you heading? What are you doing?
So obviously I'm still working on myself, I'm obviously in the PR, I'm working with another couple of coaches, and there's a little bit of something where I feel I need to give back. I need to kind of share what I created, so the mess that I created and the struggle, and so let's say the struggle or the challenge, I don't like to use struggle no more, but so the challenge that I created, and it's almost once you've experienced something, you don't really want people to experience that unnecessarily.
Got it.
You know what I mean? And within construction, and especially younger lads who are kind of just stepping out into the, going it alone. If they don't have the knowledge what I have now, there's a very fucking high chance that I'll end up like I was.
Yeah.
And that's there's a few ways it goes. People end up with mental illness, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, all that shit. Drugs, drink, or they lose the family.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of tradesmen who have managed to get through their career and hold on to a tight family, keep off the drink, the drugs, or not end up fucking off their head on antidepressants.
Yeah.
So obviously I've kind of got this little vision of giving back and helping others, and it's basically it's a program an idea that I put together at the back end of the year with the help of one of my other coaches, and it's a program called Tradesman X, and basically what I do is I help them. Initially we look at systemizing, getting a really tight quote payment and a work schedule in place in terms, so they don't need to worry about what the client thinks, because they know it's in that pack.
So this is something additional to the construction.
Oh yeah,
So you've got your building company, and you're going to now be helping other people to create a model that's worked for you, basically.
Yeah, basically that's it. It's avoiding what I've done. Everyone says this, but it's avoiding what I've done and showing them kind of what I do now, and it's more in line of growing and not expanding. It's not one of these, this is how we fucking scale your business and make £1 million, because you might turn over £1 million, but you'll probably take home another 15 grand.
Well, I did that myself, funny enough, because in our business, I remember the figures well. So we were doing 171 grand turnover, and we went from 171 grand to 750 grand. And the actual profit, I forget now, but it was tight. It was like 5 or 10 grand or something like that. And the amount of more hours I was doing, because I just hadn't got my margins right. I hadn't taken in account that we now had office staff, we had offices to pay for, and all of these extra things. So I get that. So within this thing that you create, and this is a completely separate business, is it?
Yeah.
This is a separate business.
It's my way of kind of giving back and sharing what I've been, not what I've been through. So it's my way of giving back and sharing the challenges that I faced.
Yeah.
And not how to avoid them, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be stress. Yeah. It's how to manage them. It's how to fucking accept it and not let it eat you up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the first instance is to kind of systemize the business, and I'm not talking, fucking going all out. I'm just talking get a procedure in place, especially with the quote, the terms, in the payment and work schedules. Get that in place, and then kind of start working on up here, and with a little bit of awareness, and just realizing that, as harsh as it sounds, 95% of the problem is what you create. It's upstairs. It's fuck all to do with what's going on that build.
So in terms of this what you're creating now is, so you're going to give people some systems and things like that. Are you going to be teaching them things like turning jobs down? Is that you're going to be the mindset side of it as well, of how to actually approach the business, not just the tools to help price things up or not? Yeah,
that's it. It's that fear of saying no. If you want a little bit of, I kind of call it a free mind. If you don't shit going on up there, then you need to say no. It's probably one of the most critical things. I've learned, if you don't have the power to say no, you're never going to have a bit of peace up in your mind.
Well, Warren Buffett says it, doesn't he? He says that learn how to say no 99 times out of 100 is the secrets to being successful.
Is it? Yeah. I've definitely heard it from somewhere, and honestly, I say no so much, it's unreal. And I don't mean to be arrogant with that, but I can't take on any more than I can take on. I don't have the capacity, and I don't want the capacity. Do you know what I mean? I could just go balls deep and fucking but it's up there, and that's a free mind is important to me.
So is this going to replace the business, or is it you're going to do this as well as you're still going to keep the building?
Yeah, so the construction business, I don't have any plans to pull out of that.
And what's the vision with that?
We're just going to keep going as we are, and it's hard to kind of, we're getting better and better and better and better, but there's so much room. I think there's always room to improve, and until we it's fucking tip top, I won't go that way. I just won't go that way, and in terms of employing lots of people, it's
you feel you've got a good balance right now?
Yeah.
And that's the secret, is it not? It's about doing what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, fucking right, is it? It's strange because it kind of goes against the grain. People think that, and I think it's an ego thing, is more is better, but simple is better. Simple is better for me, anyway. And I make a good living, and we're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive. We've never ever delivered a project late or over budget. So it's kind of, I know what I'm doing.
You've got a good reputation,
Yeah, and it's just a case of building that sort of internal, as in being a little bit more organised and trying to screw it down a little bit. But you've also got to realise that you need flexibility, and that's the issue. I think if you're going all in, you've not got that much flexibility, unless you just don't give a fuck, and then you're wasting your time if you don't give a fuck, because it's never going to work.
No, I get that, 100%. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions now that I know the listeners and people that we're training want to know. So I'm going to be straight to the point here. I'm developer, and because you come from both sides here, because you're a builder and you're also investing in property as well. So you get to see this from both sides, which is good. What pisses you off about people like me? So we come to you, and I'm a property investor. I'm wanting to build my portfolio, and I come to you, and obviously investors can probably want the price as cheap as they possibly can. They want it done as quick as they possibly can, so they can turn things over. So what pisses you off about people like me, investors? And what advice would you give to somebody how to work with their builder, an investor and a builder?
Yeah, so we'll go with, working with them. there's always been, and I think there always will be, a little bit of misplaced trust. Builders, not so much these days, but back in the day, there's, you know, cowboy builders, and the rogues and all the rest of it. If you can't develop a relationship, if you can't build trust, and if you're going in on price, you're never going to get what you want on the back end, I would say. Relationship is always key. And if we quickly roll it back, like, you know, we've had jobs say yes and I've said no. Like, basically, we've had the quote accepted, but on the second meeting, they weren't the type of people that I wanted to work for.
Yeah.
And you've got to bear that in mind. The builder, you know, if you aren't, like, you know, upfront, honest, and maybe even direct, if you come from a place where you're not trusting, you're gonna you're gonna get somebody that you shouldn't trust, because anybody with a little bit about them, I wouldn't work for people that kind of didn't invest in a relationship first.
Yeah, and this is the thing, isn't it? Because you guys get the most, because you play in both roles, but the builder probably gets more shit, I would say, because it's kind of like there's all this stuff of making sure you pin your builder down, make sure you get 3 quotes, make sure you've seen his work, make sure you've seen pictures, make sure he's got insurances, and there's all this stuff about hammering the builder, but like you're saying, you sometimes sack the investor because they're not in line. So what are you looking for in your investor? What makes you not sack them and want to have that relationship with them?
Ideally, I want them to have made sure that they chose at least one of the right builders for them. So instead of going in and just, I'll fucking ring him, it's like, do your own work first before you get me round, because, you know, you're going to take my time, and then I'm going to put all this effort in, and then you're going to start asking for references, and you're going to start asking about fucking reviews and all the rest of it. Like, why are you even getting me round before you've done that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like reading the TripAdvisor reviews once you're sat in the fucking hotel. It's stupid. It is, isn't it?
It's a good way to look at it.
It's like, check us out before.
So you'd say what? Go on your website, speak with other people or something like that. Do that research up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of ties in with what I'm saying about the relationship, because if you do that before you've actually met the builder, you've almost got that trust. You've almost chosen your builder. Then you can start maybe looking at like the investment or the cost of it. Do you know what I mean? People do it back to front, don't they? They're like, get the fucking price down, and now we'll start trying to check them out, and then all of a sudden they're a load of shite, but the price is great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So, number one, checking them out first.
Yeah.
Anything else? Because these are great nuggets for anyone watching this who is going to be doing a project and are about to work with a builder. Because you hear it all the time. I seen it recently with Amir Khan. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So Amir Khan had apparently instructed these builders on this hotel, and he's tens of millions over, I forget now, it was a crazy...
I think he spent 9 million, hadn't he?
9 million or something, yeah, and way over budget, and he can't get these guys back. So, because I want to come from the other angle as well. So what else do you expect from your investor? So you expect them to come prepared at the front end. Is there anything else that?
So before I'm there, I want them for me to be there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So you want to meet them on site?
Yeah. So before they've even picked up the phone, I want them to know who I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I want them to have done the homework before I go and invest my time in this relationship. And then obviously, I think, like I say, it's the big thing for me is that kind of connection, that relationship. I don't want to work for people that I don't really want to work for because of how they approached it and stuff, and I completely forgot what you've asked me.
It was just the points again for the builder. So for people who are listening here, you see it all the time with the investor and the builder, and they're having that challenge. what do you as the builder want from the investor? So I want to educate the investor so the investor should come prepared, they should check you out, look at your testimonials, and then what's the next step that you'd want from
a good idea of what they actually want.
Okay.
A drawing is just ideal, like a plan or a drawing is ideal. Because if you don't have a plan or a drawing, it's all you're just second guessing, and then you're going into the realms of estimates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're likely to overdo it rather than
to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a lot of wasted time on both parties when they don't know what they want because you're having to try and establish that. And what would you say then if they genuinely don't know? If they're looking to come to you and they go, well, do you know what, I'm wanting to do this development, but I really don't know like what kitchen and they're asking more advice. What's the sort of take on that?
I'd throw Howden's catalogue at them and say, pick one. No, he's joking. No, like obviously you can share ideas, can't you? But you can't read minds. You can't. People have got to have a vision. If they don't know on paper, they've got to at least have it in their head, haven't they? And it's kind of, then that's where the to and fro comes from, and you know, you're kind of inspiring with ideas together, which I like that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
But the attitude of, oh, I don't really know, I want just a cheap kitchen in that corner.
Yeah.
That's kind of, you're like,
difficult for you to deal with.
So like a general idea would do it, wouldn't it? You know, because then you're to and fro, and you know, you don't mind that. I don't mind that. You know, and you know, like you've got to be flexible. Things change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in terms of, you've got to be flexible when you're on site. But they've got to have an idea, because we just can't read minds. Yeah.
So they need to come prepared. They need to have done the homework on the builder, and then when they come to you, they need to have a clear or a good understanding of what they actually want. Some drawings. What else do you expect?
So ideally, either a specification or budget that you can put a specification to them based on that budget.
But what happens if they don't want to share the budget because they think that if they say, oh, I've got a budget of 50 grand, and then the builder's going to turn around and go, oh, well, actually, this is only 49,999.99 pence. How do they avoid that?
Well, they haven't done the homework at the front end on choosing the right builder.
Choosing the right builder,
It's simple as that, because there's plenty out there that would kind of take advantage of that. And, you know, because I'm experienced, I know what 50 grand's worth of work looks like.
Yeah.
You know, but these people obviously don't, so I get that it'd be a little bit scary giving away a budget, but if you don't know what you want to spend, again, and you've got no experience within the industry, can you align that with what you want?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you know what you want and you haven't got no experience and you know what you want to spend, then that gap there is got to be that's where the builder comes in and says, look, this is what you can get for your money here. Do you know what I mean?
And you help fill in them gaps as a builder. So if, for example, I came to you and said, right, I've got a 50 grand budget to do this extension and renovate this 3-bedroom house, and this is the kitchen I want from Howden's and bits like that, would you turn around and go, well, if that's the spec you're looking for, you don't actually need 50 grand, you only need probably 40 for this, and actually tell them that if you want in that spec, it's going to be 40, or if you want to spend the 50, you can go up to this sort of spec, and you do that.
Well, this is like why I like square metre, because it's like, this is what you're getting for square metre on your extension. So let's say the extension's 30 grand, and then it'd be like you've got 20 grand in the house now, on the renovations or whatever, on the existing, and it's a tough one, because like we all know what 20 grand brings. Like, you're going to be able to renovate a standard house to a good standard with 20 grand. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I would never charge somebody the full whack unless what they were getting meets it or supersedes it, and then it'd be like, you need more money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I get that there's people that probably would, but that's all front end stuff. You need to be getting people in that wouldn't, and the only way you're going to do that is by doing your own work on the builder.
So what else? So we know they need to have done the homework, they're coming with a clear vision. Again, they're discussing the specification, what they actually want on it. What else do you want from the investor? What else do you expect as a builder? How do you want them to obviously getting paid on the right time and in installments? Do you dictate that, or do you let them dictate that?
No, so everything goes in our terms. It's our terms, isn't it? You know, I can't let somebody come in from the outside and say, look, I've got 20 grand to spend, we're going to do this, but you can have it all at the end. Because like, whose business is it here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm delivering something, and it's got to kind of be paid for as I'm delivering it.
Yeah.
That's the way I work.
Yeah.
It's not out of scarcity. It's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair if it, you know, especially you've got to be careful as well in like the property industry, let's say, because there's obviously people are waiting on financing and stuff. So it's like, unless you agreed at the very beginning that you're going to get paid out on the back end once it's like flipped or bridged or whatever, it's kind of the payment terms are on me, because I'm kind of delivering that service. I'm not going to let somebody come in and say, this is how I want to pay you, crack on.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, here's the core, here's the work schedule, here's the payment schedule, there's the terms. The work schedule, the payment schedule are in line. So week 1, if rip out's done, you pay that amount. Week 2, first fix is done, you pay that amount. Do you know what I mean? And there's always like a good chunk at the end. That's what I would say. Always make sure that there's a decent chunk at the end. Never leave a couple £100 till the end of the job, ever. Yeah. We always leave about 4 or 5 grand on.
And that incentivises the builder to go back and finish the work.
Yeah, I see people get paid up and they don't want to go back. And they say you kind of lose your heart once you've been paid, but you don't. You're just a fucking twat. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If you're not going to finish it when you've been paid, you're a twat. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Agree. And it's like, so yeah, I would always say to make sure you've got like a decent, not a retainer, like don't take the piss. Yeah. But you know, like we kind of leave a good chunk on the back end. And to be fair, as soon as people see that we do that, we almost win the work, because it kind of puts them in the right frame, and that's just more trust. Yeah. It's fair, isn't it? You know, they give us we take a deposit to book it in, and then we'll take like a third on the start date, which is considerable, you know, and then we'll split the payments like every fortnight or week, and then the final payment will always be a decent number, a decent amount that covers kind of a lot, let's say, like 5 grand. Yeah. You know, so they've always got that security, and we've never not been paid because kind of fair, you know. Yeah.
Okay, one more question I want to ask you. That's how. So I want to flip it on its head now. What does the investor need to be aware of with the builder? Where do you fuck, or not you personally, but where does the builder fuck the investor over? What does the investor need to be aware of?
Again, it comes back to that checking them out. Like, man, if you're not checking them out at the fucking front end. So let's say somebody sees like some lad like just advertising the local fucking selling page that you can put skirting boards on and hanging doors and stuff. And I say this because I know somebody that's experienced it. So they've got this lad in, he rolled up in like a fucking Vectra or something like that, a skirting board hanging out the back. And he didn't have a clue what he was doing. He was a have-a-go hero. So it's like, fucking hell, I forgot the question again.
Where does the builder shaft the investor?
Yeah, so this is it. We're not having the ability to do it, not having the skill set, you know, like have-a-go heroes, horses for courses. If they're not good at it and they're having a go, they're going to be shite. You know what I mean? It's like I wouldn't get a Sparky to fit a boiler. Yeah. That's like at the most basic. But as the you know the workload comes down, Like, can you really get a handyman to hang a door, or is he just good for putting the fucking handles on?
But I fell into that trap, and I think most investors do. Certainly when you set out and you're concerned about your margins and not running over, and I've done it where I've had guys and and they're going, oh, I can do that, I can fit carpets as well, and you've just gone, all right, great, I can pay this guy X amount, he's going to fit my carpets, and before you know it, you're ripping them all back up because they look fucking shit.
It's one of those, isn't it? You kind of get sucked into like the convenience and the perceived value.
Yeah.
Buy twice.
No, I agree. That thing of really, I say it all the time, it's about ROI. It's not, and I use the example, say with an accountant or whatever, if I hear people say, oh yeah, I got 3 quotes and these accountants were $2,000 and I managed to save $1,000, I only paid 1,000. Well, did you really save 1,000, or what are you actually getting for that 1,000 versus the 2,000 over here? Because quite often you can go to the cheaper builder or accountant or mortgage broker, and they've now not give you a product that's going to serve you, or they're going to do works for you that you're now having to pay somebody else to do again. Or
more often than not, it's it's a strip out and get it redone, and you're paying again. So probably the best thing to do is, and it all falls back to checking them out at the beginning, really, is making sure that you've got the right lads in.
So where else does a builder fuck the investor? So you've said that they might not be qualified or skilled.
Yeah.
What type of things do they do, or could they do? I'm not saying you do them, but where could the builder shaft the investor? What type of things that an investor needs to be aware of?
So that it's finding the balance. So day rate versus labour.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it really pays to go on day rate, to get lads in on day rate.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's going to be good to get them on labour. So a plasterer. Yeah. Let's say you got a plasterer in on $250 a day.
Yeah.
And he's doing steady away basically. Yeah. But you put a lad in on per square metre. Yeah. He's going to cover a lot more area. Yeah. To get his $250 a day, and you're going to get more out of him, basically because you've chose the right way to pay him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. How do they know what that right way is?
Well, they need to be educated on it, and they need to learn. Really, it's experience or get the education.
So getting a price, I would personally say, is getting a fixed price is always the best way, if it's possible. But I also get it at sometimes if you ask, you come to a builder and go, I want that 2 bricks taken out there, I want that vent filling up there, I want that little crack in the wall there, it takes you that long to go price all them up individually, rather than just going, well, actually, I can do all them in a day for you, mate, for 200 quid or something like that.
That's where you want to be at as well. It's like it's being fair as well. You can't expect somebody to come in for like 5 hours and pay them half a day. I don't think. You know what I mean? But also you can't I can't come in and say, I want 300-400 quid for 5 hours work. I could, but it doesn't really bode well. It doesn't go with that relationship, does it? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's finding that balance between, I always say look after the lads, like pay them on time, look after the lads, and they'll look after you, because it's relationships. Everything goes back to a relationship, I think. No,
I agree 100%. So what else can the builder do where he could shaft the investor they need to be aware of? Anything called, like with materials, or maybe he's not doing what they're saying, or missing something out, or...
Yeah, so a lot, like one of the most common things is to underprice on an estimate. Yeah. And then once you get your foot in the door, it's fucking extras. And that's probably like one of my biggest challenges, is competing with those type of people.
Yeah. So how does an investor avoid that? Somebody who's going to put a cheap estimate in, and then they're basically, like you say, they're going to get the foot in the door, then just hammer them with all of these extra things.
Comparing apples with apples, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's no good comparing fucking him down here who's running about in a little shitty car and turns up at 10 o'clock or whatever, to a lad that turns up on time with a good detailed quote, you know, and the payment schedules and plans. And so, you know, you kind of, you know yourself, it's like, you know, 1-star hotel, 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 3-star, I'm quite happy with a 3-star hotel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't want to go and live in a shithole, and maybe sometimes I don't have the budget for the top end.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, you've got to know your balance, you've got to know what you want, but the only way you're going to get that is by getting people around and checking them out. Do you know what I mean? So, like, don't be scared to do the work on them. Like, fucking investigate them. If you're going to be spending a fortune, you know what I mean? Like 50 grand, let's say, if you're going to be putting 50 grand into a project with one individual builder, you've got to be comfortable doing that, I think.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Know, and the only way you're going to do that is by do a bit of digging, talk to people, not friends and family who are the friends of that builder. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, my brother's a joiner, he can come up here, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Usually that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I've experienced that a few times as well, mate. What's the one thing that we don't know that we should know? Either from an investor's point of view or a builder's point of view.
The one thing...
It's difficult, that question, sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the one thing we don't know that we should know? Basically, give us a nugget.
I think in general is investors don't really know the true value of a decent tradesman.
Yeah.
That kind of covers everything we've spoken about, but you know, there's numbers and figures and salaries kicking about, but when you know.
Yeah.
You know, and the only way you kind of find out is you've got to go through the shit sometimes, or do the digging. So I that's what I feel like. A lot of people don't understand the actual value in a tradesman.
Yeah, great nugget. Thanks for that, mate. So tell me about the two businesses now. So tell me exactly as quickly as you can now, because we're going to wrap up. So your building company, what's that called? If anybody's interested in I know you're going to probably say no to them anyway, but the building company, what is it? Where can they find you?
F&W Building Services.
F&W Building Services. Yeah, you're on the internet?
Yeah. F&W Build, fwbuild.co.uk. I think we're the only company who does like an online quote. So input your sizes, and you'll get a quote straight back, and then we're on Facebook. And
do you stick to that, or do you then go out and then just to check to see if there's any sort of?
It's based on a site survey.
Yeah.
Got to look at drainage.
Yeah.
Got to look at levels. You know. It's no good if fucking DPC's up here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
it's usually pretty close. Someone can get a really good idea by going on your site of how to price something.
Yeah, we've honoured that a lot, and it works. It's basically, it saves me typing up the quote to get the almost exact initial figure before we go and site visit. So yeah.
Brilliant. And the other business, the new one, that you set that off when, a couple of months ago?
Yeah, so I say we, that's me, but back in January I had this idea, and Tradesman X, and we're on Facebook. We're in the middle of getting the website built, but yeah, so at the minute we're on Facebook, and that's just Tradesman X, and that's just helping tradesmen with a business and mindset into sales.
Great. And there's a website for that, or is that purely on Facebook?
So that's on Facebook at the minute, because
Yeah.
we're right in the middle of building like the course out, and you know yourself, the website's kind of integrated with the course host, so it's kind of, you know, it's in progress, let's say. Great.
Where else can we find you? So there's those two things there. You've got your website. Anything else where people can tap into? Do you have anything where people can follow you and get nuggets or anything like that? Do you have?
So there's my personal Facebook page. I'm always banging on about something on there, but yeah, no, we're on Instagram as well. We set up a YouTube channel, so it's now a case of, it's gone from idea to easing in content, as we've literally got the planners off to print, so the lads get a planner, basically a journal / planner, so all this goes in there, and fire away, follow the content, jump on a call, and we go through it and kind of free up a little bit of space in their head, so that they start to enjoy what they love doing, they just don't know it.
Yeah, and with the two businesses you've got, so the building company and the trading business, is there anywhere where you're sharing nuggets, content or anything like that on building tips, or is there anything, is that on your Facebook page?
Yeah, it's more on my Facebook. I'm in a lot of groups, so I'm obviously in our community. I've got the Tradesman X community, which is there on Facebook, and then, you know, I'm in quite a few different groups, you know, like property groups and stuff. So I'm not kind of pushing it on people. It's kind of read it and then give my opinion. But that's gonna kind of change, isn't it?
Love it, mate. Pleasure having you on. I'm sure you took a lot away from that, guys. A lot of nuggets there, because the great thing with having a builder on is they get to see things both sides. And as I've said, I think it's easy because I've been on both sides of them fences. I've had my own construction company, so I know what it's like. I know what the investor looks for. But I also know the other way around, what the builder looks for too. So great to hear that from Paul, of what he expects to look for in an investor, and maybe that's some advice for you, because don't just think it's about hammering your builder. Certainly a good builder like Paul is going to expect you to behave a certain way as well. So it's a two-way relationship of doing that. So some great nuggets in there. I'll put some links in the comments where you can find Paul and both of those businesses. If you're maybe as a tradesman and you're wanting to maybe you're feeling stressed, like the guy that I was talking to last week, the plumber guy, and maybe you're just looking to free up a bit of that clutter in your own head and systemize the business a little bit more. We'll put some links to that. So hope you've enjoyed it, guys, and we will be back on another podcast very soon with somebody else offering some great nuggets.